guys, welcome back to my vlog. So today we went on a trip out of Rome, the city of Rome, to a farm where we experienced cheese making and also visiting the farm, learning about the agri-tourism around in Italy. And then we went on to the vineyard to do wine tasting. So at the farm, we got to see how sheep cheese was made and ricotta cheese was made. So what they do is that they boil the sheep's milk until 32 degrees Celsius and add rennet to let one of the protein in the sheep's milk to break down, causing the milk to be able to coagulate and form the sheep's cheese, where it will be put into a special kind of container with small holes at the side to let the wheat, which is the remaining water, to flow out of the container. And after the cheese is pressed enough, it will form pudding-like cheese. As for the ricotta cheese, ricotta actually means recooked, and so how ricotta cheese is made is that the wheat left over from the first sheep cheese that was made was boiled to 78 degrees Celsius, and then the ricotta cheese will also coagulate and form at the surface of the wheat, where it will be left to solidify a little bit more and to transfer into a different kind of special container with larger holes at the side, and then to let it set to form the ricotta cheese. So it was actually really interesting to know how social responsibility is an important part here in Italy, where the remaining weight from the cheese is not allowed to be thrown away because it would toxify the soil. And so this weight is definitely safe to be fed to animals, and so it's really interesting to learn about how social responsibility and social agriculture is such a big part of the agriculture sector here in Italy. So it's good to know that everything among the process of making a product is used fully, where today the sheep cheese is made following the ricotta cheese, and the weight left over is actually fed to livestock. While a few days ago we also learned that you butcher a pig, the whole pig is utilized to the fullest potential, where definitely the meat is sold, and then even the pork cheeks are a delicacy here in Italy. So it's definitely very interesting to know that the emphasis on utilizing the whole produce is great here in Italy. We are also introduced to agrotourism, which means that a farm is currently not only just a farm, it operates as a area where tourists could come and stay in the farm and to experience what the farmer and the locals would live like. So this particular farm that we went to also operates a restaurant where they have to use about 30% of their produce, such as vegetations, their cheese, their milk, in serving in the restaurant. And it was really interesting to know about the different laws and regulations that these farmers and agritourism have to abide by. We were also enlightened about how law regulators in terms of the agritourism department would regulate would conduct their inspection, and the difference between how they conduct their inspections here in Italy and also in the other European countries. So the owner of the farm told us that regulators here in Italy are more aggressive, where they come in to the premise with the intention of finding fault, whereas in other European countries, the regulators would come in with a more friendlier approach, where they will tell you which areas you will need to improve on, and they will come back probably a month later, a few weeks later, to inspect again. So if you do not meet their inspection standards, then only you will be fined. So it was actually really interesting to know about how laws and regulations are conducted in different countries. And it was definitely a surprise because Italy is such a famous country for having good food, and I would expect the government of Italy to want to promote more about the food of Italy to tourists. So I would expect them to maybe have a better approach to ensure that their food standards are always met. Late in the evening, we went on to visit a vineyard where we were briefed about the process of making wine, where white wine and red wine are made differently. White wine are pressed and fermented without their skin, whereas red wine is pressed and fermented with their skin on. Rosé wine, on the other hand, is in the middle of both the white wine and red wine, where the skin will be pressed for a short period of time, approximately around 2 hours before it was removed, and then it was pressed and fermented again. So definitely gain a lot of knowledge about the process of making wine. And it was really interesting to know about how wine takes such a long process to be made. And I definitely didn't have this insight before, and it made me appreciate drinking wine more because it is such a long process and it requires a lot of labor. There are different types of ways of storing and fermenting wine. The ones that were mentioned was storing them in oak wood barrels or metal barrels. And some wine are actually placed in both, so maybe a short period of time in the oak wood barrel and then the rest of the time in steel containers. And all these different storing methods would produce different types of wine, which is very interesting, very intriguing. I would definitely like to have more opportunity of learning about the process and the difference of wine. So today was a long day, but a very fruitful one in terms of me gaining a lot of knowledge, and look forward to the next vlog tomorrow.